If you've got a question, the voices of resin are here. Oh, PlastChicks.
PlastChicks is an SPE sponsored podcast.
Hey, Lynzie.
Afternoon. I was going to say morning, but we are full-fledged afternoon at this point.
Even in Central Standard Time.
Even in Central Standard Time, the lesser time zone as it's known around here.
I know.
So I am Lynzie Nebel.
And I am Mercedes Landazuri.
And with our powers combined, we're PlastChicks.
The voices of resin.
I thought you were going to join me, so you threw me off for a second.
I wasn't sure about the
We're
time.
feeling it. It's okay. I liked it.
Yeah. Never nailing it.
Never nailing it and always a surprise. You know what? I think that makes it interesting.
Keep it different every time, like Chipotle.
We're just like, we are similar, but not always the same. We're going to give you some guac or all the guac. You don't know. So our podcast comes out the first Friday of every month. If you want to listen to us, and if you want to see us being weird and talking, then you listen, or you can watch us on YouTube channel, the SBU YouTube channel, the third Friday of every month.
And that YouTube handle is just the number 4 and SPE.
Yes.
You can also find the website forspe.org.
Yes. And in addition, if you just want to see what kind of chaotic good we're putting out there, you can always check us out on Instagram at PlastChicks. It's PlastChicks. Try to do it in one breath.
Yeah, that was good.
There is no I between plast and chicks. I know you want to put one there, but it does not belong. Not in this game.
But we will respond to PlastChicks as well. And we like that name too.
In person, but the internet will shut you down.
But enough about us.
Enough about us. Today we have a really esteemed guest. We kind of feel honored that he was even willing to join us today. We have Ed Hall, the president and CEO of Baerlocher. Hi, Ed.
Hey, how you doing? Thank you, Lynzie, and thank you, Mercedes, for giving me a chance to join. I'm excited about being part of this, and hopefully we've got some messages, I guess, to share with our industry.
Yes, we have a lot of messages, a lot we want to talk to you about. So before we jump into kind of the meat and potatoes, can you give us just a quick rundown of Baerlocher for our friends who maybe aren't in the industry or are industry adjacent?
Yeah, so Baerlocher USA is part of group companies of Baerlocher GmbH, based in Germany. We have a family that's shareholders of the company. We operate as local entities in our specific regions globally. Here in the U.S., we have 2 sites. We have a Dover, Ohio site for our liquid stabilizers and a Cincinnati site for solid additives. And our additives are used in plastics. We like to use the tagline, we bring character to plastics. Without materials like ours, plastics aren't usable. So that's a little bit of our business. This year in 2023, this is our 200th anniversary. So later this year, we're going to have a birthday party to celebrate that. And we're currently in, I wouldn't say a transition. We're moving our business to more focus on sustainability globally, and becoming more than an additives company, but to also become a service company. How can we help you, achieve your objectives in sustainability and recycling? So that's kind of who we are and where we're hoping to go.
Wow. So Baerlocher got its start not too long after the United States declared independence.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we started out as a sulfuric acid business, and then transitioned multiple times, got into waxes, got into soaps for your body, and then converted those soaps into metal soaps, which are used as lubricants and stabilizers and plastics, and it all went from there. So we've been here.
So like Abraham Lincoln, it's
about Baerlocher.
A possibility that he used your products.
He probably looked us up somewhere to see if we could help him with his plastic problems.
Yeah.
Oh, good old Abe, always investigating.
That's right.
So you're currently the CEO and president of Baerlocher, but tell us more about your background in the plastics industry, your history.
Yeah, so I'm a mechanical engineer by training. I started out with Hitachi, an automotive division based in Harrodsburg, Kentucky. I graduated from the University of Kentucky. I started doing design work for them with plastic components, and that's when I really started to understand plastics and turning them into something. I wanted to get back to Cincinnati or Newport, Northern Kentucky, where I'm originally from, and I ended up getting a job with Toyota in their quality department. I wasn't dealing so much in plastics at that time, but had my sights set on working for GE and the GE plastics business. And just, I think it was exactly a year after I started with Toyota Denso, I got hired at GE Plastics. Actually, November or September 12th, 2001. So the day after 9/11, I joined GE.
Oh, wow. And so was that's like right around the time that Jack Welch left.
It was
right?
the same. Yeah, I think I started the day after Jeff Immelt started. I think he started on the 11th or 12th. I started that day or the day after.
Wow. So Jack Welch said, all right, we got this kid coming in here. He's going to
We're
take
set.
care of us
Yeah, I'm
now."
out of here.
Done.
They don't need me anymore. Yeah. And I started GE Plastics. It was in sales in plastics. The interesting thing is Jeff Immelt was also a sales guy in plastics, and I had his territory. So yeah,
Wow.
so it was actually kind of interesting. So he knew I had been in a meeting with him and a lot of my customers. He knew these guys, the same guys that I knew. So it was always a joke that they had my rookie card. But little did they know I actually would become a president somewhere. So I enjoyed my time there, and then went ahead and got a call from Baerlocher in additives. I had no clue what they did. I had given up my engineering degree, become, a salesperson. So I didn't know anything about engineering anymore. And then I came here and did some sales work, and then got moved into management and know nothing about sales, know nothing about engineering. I'm just a manager now. So that's how that worked out.
So why did you leave I mean, you weren't leaving your engineering degree because salespeople in our field are often highly technical, but
Yeah.
what inspired you to move into the
So
sales?
yes. So when I was with Hitachi, I had an office also in Detroit. So my customers were the big three, and specifically, I spent most of my time with Ford on doing underhood engine components for like intake systems. So helping design the filter systems and the sensors going into the engine. I really liked the collaboration with my customer. I liked I liked the lab. There was no doubt about it. But I also really liked the negotiation when we were getting to the point where things were kind of working. How do we gain value for the work that we did? Keeping our prices up, or helping get prices, extending into different applications, explore to whatever the different. I really enjoyed that negotiation part of the business, and I don't know where it came from, but I always enjoyed that. And then as I went to Toyota, and I was doing quality. I liked the job, but it was kind of boring to me. And once I heard about the opportunity at GE, great name, big company at the time. I think it was the largest company. I had an opportunity to really go after it, and I got a chance to do sales, and I absolutely fell in love with sales.
So did you ever get out to the Selkirk, New York location?
Yeah. Well, we had our offices were in Massachusetts. Yeah, Selkirk. They made. I try to remember what it was. The PPS products. PPS? No, the Noril products. It was the products and color. They did color up there too. So I went up there a few times. I took customers up there for the color design work, and then I was up in Pittsfield, Mass, quite a bit since we were headquartered up there. So.
Do you happen to remember? I'm asking this for a very specific, unrelated to this.
Where are we going?
Okay.
Do you happen to remember back in the day when it was still GE before it was now Sabic, that plant? Was the speed limit on the road to the plant, was it 36.5 miles per hour then? Because it's the only time
you're right. It was something weird like that. I
was.
completely forgot about that, but you're right. There was what was it? And there had to be a story behind that, but I have no clue. I have no clue what that was, unless somebody was converting it from kilometers per hour or
Yeah.
something. But
That was, I still have that picture on my phone. I made my boss stop, and we might have been late for the meeting, but it was worth it.
100% worth it. You see a weird sign, you take a picture. You do not ask questions.
So, but getting back to your background, so what then inspired you to move into management from sales?
well, so when I first came in, I was given a role. I had a sales territory, and I had a couple of sales guys working for me, and then the customer service. So it was a transition just in my career, something I'd been interested in doing, and I don't know. I felt I had a lot to learn. I'm sure I made many mistakes when I first took this role, but I really enjoyed also the working with other people. And I can be tough when I need to be, but I think I really like to spend time with people and help developing people. So that was a big interest of mine. I also, as I was going through this process, I really like being part of the strategy of a company, not just selling, not just trying to create value, but or showing value, but creating value through our strategy. And so it was a pretty interesting time until I took this role. So I started there in 2007. I took my current role in 2016, and there was a lot of fluctuations going on in the industry, a lot of changes. And I frankly I had been asked, "Would you be interested in this job?" And I said, "No." I wasn't. I said I wasn't interested in the job. Yeah, I really said that because I was having a good time doing what I was doing. And a little bit later, my current boss came back and said, I'd really like to talk to you about taking that job. And when I realized he was serious, I said, I have an opportunity, I think, to do more than I was doing before. So I don't know. I was inspired by him as well. So I got a pretty good boss.
So like the Shakespeare quote, was it from Twelfth Night? Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them.
Yeah, that's right. Or the lady doth protest too much because she does something like this.
I love it.
So you mentioned earlier, Baerlocher is kind of starting to move into that like sustainability arena. And you guys have been at a lot of events, and you've hosted a lot of events recently. I think I saw you guys hosted one in August, something around that time frame.
Yep.
And one of the things is, you guys are saying sustainability requires a lot of education, which I don't think anyone can disagree with.
Right.
So what do you think is one of the things that a lot of people overlook when they say, all right, let's move to sustainability? What is something they're just, maybe not thinking about or misunderstanding?
Okay, so there's two different ways I look at it. So there's the consumer side, and then there's let's say the producer side, right? The brand owners, things like that. I think so we have to somehow, there's got to be a gap that's bridged. So a lot of consumers, a lot of people on the other side think that plastics are like they're terrible, right? We only use them when we have to, and we shouldn't use them at all. But I think it's important to set the stage appropriately, that people realize that actually plastics are a very sustainable option for especially things like food containers, which get a lot of tough challenges as single-use products, but there's a lot of value in public health, the energy used to produce one of these things, and we got to somehow get that message out. And then on the producer side, guys like me making additives and people making plastics and somebody converting that into a package, I think we also have to be honest with ourselves and say, you know what, there might be times when they shouldn't be using plastic. Maybe we are good salespeople and we're convincing somebody that they should be using plastic. I think we need to be honest with ourselves and say, at what point do we say, all right, you know what, we shouldn't probably use plastics here, whether it's glass or cardboard or paper. There are times if we're really committed to sustainability, we have to be honest about that and say, and even as a pragmatic perspective, somebody that may not like that, in the industry, say, okay, at least be pragmatic about it and say, all right, fine, I'm going to not, this isn't the hill I'm going to die on, right?
Mhm.
So I think we have to be, I don't know, we have to somehow come to an agreement that there's good, and then sometimes it's like, well, we shouldn't probably do this anyway. Be honest with society, be transparent. That really comes in as a matter of integrity for me. And people want to do business with honest and people, that have high integrity. And I think as a plastics industry, we have some a part to play in building that.
Mhm. Absolutely, very well said. So, Ed, your mantra for one of your recent recycling summits was teach, learn, and collaborate.
Yep.
Why do you think it's so important to have this approach in our industry?
Well, I've been using TLC, since August when we first bringing everybody together, and why I started that why I thought of that in the first place is we do a PVC technical summit in the spring. We've done that now for 5 or 6 years, and we started this summit for recycling that we did in August. We're going to probably do it again this coming year. And one of the things that's really hard for a company was, I got salespeople there, I got technical people there, I got managers there, and I got to tell everybody, I got to remind them, this is not a sales pitch, right? We're not bringing people in here to sell them on our additives. I don't care what they buy, who they buy it from. This is about learning, right? This is what it is. And it occurred to me, I might have already been kind of given in that speech when it popped in my head. Your job while people are here are to teach them, learn something from them, and collaborate with them. Because especially in the recycling industry, you've got in our summit, we had about 100 people. And I remember looking out and I said, wow, I think when I kicked it off, I said something like, I see 100 entrepreneurs out here and 100 people with a lot of courage, because 90% of people in the world don't like you in the first place because you're in plastics. And of that, 90% of the people in plastics don't like you because you're recycling. I said, so there is a group of very courageous entrepreneurs in this room. And a lot of entrepreneurs, they have their own, where they're going to go, they have in their mind. Sometimes we, as an entrepreneur, you think you know something when you really don't. You sometimes want to do it on your own. And when you look at the challenge we have in front of us as a plastics industry and recycling, no one knows where the future is going to be in 4 years, right? 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. And we all have these own objectives and goals. It's interesting because in the recycle market, right, every piece of the value chain, if one of those things doesn't work well, it's not going to work. So for example, the guy that collects the garbage has to do his job. The guy that sorts the garbage has to do his job. The guy that puts additives in that garbage to turn it into a pellet has to do his job. And this industry hasn't worked together, right? And because, they're trying, but there's so many different ways of doing it that if we don't collaborate and move in the same direction, we're not going to be successful, at least in the short term. And the only way to collaborate is to learn. And the only way to learn is that somebody teaches. So at the end of the day, our summits, and even in our sales calls, when we're talking to customers, we keep in our mind, this is not a sales pitch, because some just because, it's through being a trusted advisor to the industry. Let's teach, let's learn, and let's collaborate. That's what it takes. That's all it's going to take to be successful as a group.
This episode is supported by the Plastics Industry Association.
Woohoo! Mercedes and I are super excited because we're going to join the Plastics Industry Association for the Refocus Recycling and Sustainability Summit May 1st through 4th in Minneapolis.
That's where Prince is from.
Oh,
Refocus features action-oriented conversations to equip industry problem solvers and doers with the knowledge and tactics to accelerate plastic sustainability in their company's portfolio.
And it addresses sustainability in the plastics industry by the plastics industry, for the people, by the people.
And extra special bonus, as a little treat for our listeners, you can receive a 30% discount on the non-member rate when you use the code PlastChicks. That's PlastChicks.
So if you know how to spell PlastChicks, you get a bonus. And to learn more and register to join, go to the link in the show notes or go to the plastics industry's website at plasticsindustry.org.
That's interesting. You know, as you were speaking, it kind of made me think this philosophy also kind of parallels your own career path, where it's like I had thought, okay, he's a CEO. Maybe he started out wanting to be CEO, and all of these steps were very deliberate to get to that place. But really, you were just TLCing all along.
Yeah, I guess I never thought
Inaction.
about that. Yeah, I mean, that's true. I've never, and I think the industry, actually, I think that's a good point. I think if I look at the recycle industry, I think one of the things that's made my life a little bit easier and is I never said, okay, I'm aiming at that target, and then anything that throws me off, I feel like I'm failing. I always had a goal, right, in my life. But my goal was not I want to be that job. My goal is I want to enjoy what I'm doing. I want to make, I want to have purpose in what I'm doing and make some money at it, to feed my family. I think one of the things we could get locked into in recycling is we're going to set our eyes just on some number or something like that, and there's going to be opportunities open up or different ways of doing things that we can lock ourselves into pursuing this path. Maybe if I said I wanted to be the best engineer ever, I would have maybe missed a lot of opportunities. And I think in recycle, when you look at that whole value chain, there's going to be opportunities that if we're too focused and we think we know what we want, we will miss opportunities that could present themselves to us as an industry. So have a goal, have a vision, but you can't just say, here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to be this guy or this lady or 30% recycle. You got to have a goal, but you got to be flexible, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's very, I mean, some of the things that you're saying, it's very topical right now with Ellen MacArthur Foundation calling out all these companies for not hitting their, 30%, 50%, whatever the targets they set.
Yeah. Well, I know there's a lot of brains in the plastics industry.
Mm-hmm.
And if they would work together and forget about trying to beat this guy
Right.
and move here and slowly do it, there's plenty to go around, man. And if we can influence society in a positive way by showing them what we can do as plastics industry, we're all the better for it.
Yeah, agreed. And I was kind of talking on a similar type of thing, talking about with the labeling products as green or organic or whatever, recycled when it's, and someone was telling me that they actually, there was like a certain percentage, their company had to put a certain percentage of products labeled as green, and at one point they were just like, it's bottom of the barrel definition of green just to say they're doing green. And
yeah,
I think that's a really good example of like, you're just trying to hit the target, you're not necessarily getting the goal.
Yeah, and nobody's gonna, and if we're all fighting for that pound. So one of the things I've looked at, and I've said this, so because we haven't collaborated well, right, and we still have so much to learn, I'm sure people are going to solve these problems and think about them. The amount of recycled materials that we can use, recycled plastic, is very narrow, because there are maybe things that additives are going to be able to help out, maybe different processes are going to be able to help out, but we've actually locked ourselves into recycled plastics, which most people would think is garbage, has become so valued because of the targets we've set, but the supply is so narrow because we haven't worked on the technical solutions, or maybe the recovery or the
Right.
solutions to use them. We now have this special additive that costs so much money. It's like gold. If we just stop and work together to somehow broaden that what's available, or how we can turn it into something usable, we're going to win. And again, nobody can do it on their own. And with the temperature in society as far as plastics, in some cases, we were going to say, okay, this is what we look like. My poison tastes better than your poison. Right?
Right.
Until we get together and teach people that these are vitamins, not poisons. Yeah, and we can't. No one company is going to do that on their own. It's just not going to happen. We're wasting time.
Yeah, and I think a lot of what you're discussing within, the sustainability about kind of being all of our responsibility, feeds into something else you mentioned, which was your Baerlocher's Code of Ethics.
Mhm.
Can you kind of touch on what that is? And obviously, it through what you've said already, it kind of shows itself. But can you just kind of go into more detail on that?
Yeah, so we have three pillars, or really three foundations for our code of ethics. That's respect, integrity, and excellence. And I'm pretty proud of my team in that they know, everybody here knows, 105 people in Cincinnati site knows respect, integrity, and excellence is what we're here for. And there was an event recently, which I think how we got connected, with someone who showed a very, very severe disrespect for one of my teammates, and she happened to be a female. And comments that I got back from people that were at this event said, there was kind of a hint of misogynistic behavior, things that they said on the side, or things that maybe not directly said, but had this presence of things that may not have happened if it was a guy standing up there. Now, those are opinions. I wasn't there, but I took that and I said, okay, whether it's true, whether it's not true, in this particular case, I've seen it myself. I have seen it myself. And when you talk about, I mean, all these things come together, because to me, it was almost an element of how we're treating each other in the industry. I mean, I have two daughters, and I've seen people treat them not the way that I feel like they should be treated. They've told me they're afraid that they're not going to be treated that way. And now I have people saying that someone from my team was treated like that. And it made me very emotional, very upset. I got in touch with SPE, and SPE did a great job in helping resolve this. But at the end of the day, so if we have people that want to trust us as an organization, but we can't even trust each other, and we're not showing respect for each other, why would anybody in the world have respect for us? Again, before you even get to collaboration, you have to have respect. You're not going to collaborate with anybody you don't respect, right?
Yeah,
And
not in a meaningful way.
yeah, and I mean, I still actually get a little choked up by this, that that someone treated someone like that up on stage with disrespect, that especially a young person new in their career who's standing up there to teach other people. That's her job, was teaching an introductory course on plastics and additives to people coming out of college, and they witnessed this. And I can only imagine somebody went home and was like, I don't want to be part of that. I don't want to be part of that.
And exactly, I think that's one of the things that the industry really needs to take to heart is the respect for each other. And there's a lot of times we start to talk about who's going to be in this industry. We're starting to look for the younger generations interested in joining this industry. And if we stick by that standard of like every person for themselves, it does come across as aggressive. And I had a conversation with someone recently about how the younger generation just doesn't want to work as hard, and they don't want to be here doing as much. And I think that's the perspective that person has. But I said, coming from the opposite end of it, I think we've seen people work really hard and then say, hey, I wanted more time with my family. I wanted to be able to do something I love, have a passion for it, but also be with the people I love. Yeah. And I think sometimes we assume it has to be one or the other. And if you're not giving all for the one, I am not going to respect you. And I think, if we all recognize that if you want to pick one or the other, that's totally fine.
Yeah, right.
But you can't disrespect or assume that the people that aren't giving all to the same thing you believe you need to give all to are coming from an uninformed or uneducated place, because they're not.
I mean, if we're also honest with ourselves, I mean, the plastics industry, we're an aging industry. Plastics themselves, and a lot of people that came out, and made a big impact in the plastics industry are starting to retire. And we have to somehow backfill this loss of energy, brain power and knowledge with new people coming out of college, right? And if we're not spending time as those that have been around with those that are coming in, and allowing those coming in to teach us something, to the people who think we know everything, right? I always like to use the term, iron sharpens iron. And if we don't accept, let's say, new people coming in, come with different backgrounds than people did in the 70s, females making their way into the workforce, into manufacturing, and management roles in companies. If we are not willing to accept that, we can, we can really cause a lot of problems for ourselves,
Right.
as industry, but just as people too, because we also have to look, as an industry, we have to reflect our society, right? Yeah, I mean, some of my friends, I talk about myself and some of the guys I work with, we're a bunch of old white men, and that's great. Old white men are great, but you know what? There's more than one color in a rainbow, right? And it has to do with all kinds of different perspectives and backgrounds. And if we can harness all that energy, then collaboration happens normally. And yeah, I think the world would be a better place.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean-
yeah, I read the sorry, Lynzie, go ahead.
Well, I was actually just going to steal the story you always tell. We interviewed someone, I don't know, a while back now, probably 2020. And basically, her perspective was coming from a country where, she didn't have access. It was access to not having clean water.
Yeah.
And, basically she invented this, her invention stemmed from that perspective. And, if you think about all these, what is it? Necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah.
That alone, if, you should be looking at diversity within, diversity of thought is always going to help you on these projects that are stuck, or sustainability where we're not working together, or where we're not collaborating, or seeing it from around the corner.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And when you get, I mean, again, you've got to reflect your society, because what was our core beliefs at Baerlocher: respect, integrity, and excellence. So it's not going to change, but around us the world changes. Right. And so what's important today may not be what's important tomorrow, as far as societal, but if we're not listening to the people coming up, here's what society looks like from a different vantage point than yours, as a 50-year-old man, our vantage point is different than yours. Right. And we have to be able to hear those things. And there's going to be ideas. Necessity is a mother invention. Why not use all of the brains available to us instead of just 10% of them?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I went on a Reddit rant about this last night. Actually,
you were up very late last night, Mercedes.
Every night. It goes both ways too. Another thing that I see happening in the industry, and why maybe some of these people who are getting ready to retire aren't fully transferring their knowledge, is because they don't feel respected by the younger generation. Because a lot of these people come in and, us included, come in and want, like, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that, and I have all this great stuff. The older generation in our industry, it was all, I always say it was Dustin Hoffman in The Graduate, now grown up, right? And there's a full generational gap in between, right? And all of these people who are well established in the industry, they are out of practice singing their own praises. They don't know how to market themselves to the younger people, and because they haven't had to. When they were coming up, everybody was, who was around them saw their accomplishments, and so that's a piece too that I hadn't really thought about until the middle of the night last night, when I was posting on Reddit about this very problem.
And I see that from my seat. I have a very open door policy. My door is open. You don't knock, you just walk right into my office. And I hear all kinds of things like that. And I'll hear from, people in the later stages of their career saying, they don't pay attention, we got this and that, and I don't know what they're thinking. And then you get people that are just coming to their career saying, I don't know what this guy's talking about. That's not the way things work. And you get, sometimes, like, you got to say, no, that is the way that things work. You got to listen to, you got to hear. and listen to the experience that these guys have.
Yeah.
You know,
I
these
mean, I just thought Ed Hall was some CEO and president. I didn't realize he actually worked FML sales territory.
Oh yeah.
See, now
I'm
post
a
about
better
that
sales
on
guy.
Reddit.
But I mean, yeah, I agree with what you said for sure.
So I know we're running short on time here, but we want to know, is there anything going on at Baerlocher that you're really excited to share with us, that you're able to share?
Whew.
Or the top secret stuff. We like that too.
Yeah, if you want to go ahead,
Inside scoop,
we
we're
love
in.
scooping plastics news.
Yes.
I just think the thing that excites me most, just about, at least with us, is the recycle sustainability. We it's funny is we have, just the way that the business is today, recycle, we have very little to contribute from a chemical perspective. I mean, the things that we have, people are going to need them, but it's a very, very small part of this industry. So I think, I mean, as we figure out ways to solve, I know our business is going to grow. We're a commercial operation, right? We're here to make money in return to the investor on the money they've committed. But it's like that. It's like what I was talking about before. We have a goal and a vision to influence and be part of not just part of the market, but to influence the market in recycling. I know there's going to be opportunities that open themselves up to us to be able to take advantage of. So that's exciting. It's scary. Sometimes I ask for a lot of money to do something. They say, "What's the return?" And I say, "I have no idea. We haven't found it yet." You get some of these
Just hang on, it'll be there.
I promise it's going to show up. I promise it's going to show up. But it takes us to actually another part I had mentioned when I first was speaking, was regarding the service part of our business. And I see a huge opportunity for us, and not just to be a chemical company, but to be a chemistry company. And by that, I mean coming with solutions. So I meet you, you meet me, we get along, we can relate. That's chemistry, right? So I think we have an opportunity to become more than just a chemical company, but to be a chemistry company. And the way to do that is to bring solutions to you that you've not thought about. And so we're getting ready to harness some of that energy, let's say, of those people that are retiring, are experts within our business. And we're going to say, we want to be able to provide this experience to you. How we monetize that, or how we do that, I don't know. I think we are going to become as much of a service business as we are a chemical business. So I like to say, as a chemistry business, at least here in the US, that's kind of part of our goal. And we're starting to hear people say, "Hey, for our technical team, could you be a consultant for us?" So we're seeing where people see the value in my team and are saying, "Hey, we're willing to pay for that. We're willing to pay for that."
And even that is, diversity of perspective coming in,
Yep.
helping these companies out that have done it the same way. They know what they need, but
Yep.
all of a sudden they're inviting this new diverse perspective in.
And when they really trust us and realize I'm not there just to sell you some food dust that, and you can do it 5 other ways. Once they realize and they can trust you, you're a trusted advisor to them, they're more willing to open up and collaborate, which is, again, the most important part. And they're saying, we'd like to hire your guys. We want to buy your additives, but we also want to pay for the knowledge that you're providing to us. I think that, to me, that's probably one of the biggest things, is how do you convert from a chemical company to a chemistry company? And my team's figuring out ways to do that.
I saw Mercedes write that down, so she's
I did. Because you did, you creeper. Yeah.
I see you.
That's wonderful. I love that, from moving from a chemical company to also a chemistry company.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Well, I think we're about out of time for today, but Ed Hall, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for advocating for respect in the industry, and for all that you do to build people up and bring people together and open people's minds.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for taking the time to
so much.
hear me out. Thank you.